with Kent and Central Florida. Oh, pardon me, guys. Here we go. All right, yep, 35.5. This total's dropped here to 54.5. I think these lines might be a little older. Had these kind of typed in early, a little bit earlier than that. Kent and Central Florida as our first matchup today. This one goes off at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. We know the deal with Kent, right? Everyone's calling them the worst team in the country or the least experienced team in the country. He's got to take it pretty hard on these Kent guys. They've got transfer QBs in from Purdue and Kansas State. They're trying to, resurrect things. The problem is with this team is they have no starters returning on offense and only 4 on defense. They might be the least experienced team in the country. They've got, nobody returning on offense out of all the players on their roster, offensive linemen. They started in 5 games last year. So that's their issue here in this one. Kent, they haven't been too good as a road underdog. Now, this is a special situation. You're playing Central Florida. Gus Malzahn of the Knights, he's doing a good job. He's doing an okay job. What are you going to do? You're going to, keep Central Florida as the monster that they were in the previous years. Look, the 4-year Malzahn is 18-9 with Central Florida. It's pretty good. But the 4 years before that, they were 41-8. So they're pretty strong. They return players, certainly. They've got Plumlee at quarterback. He was great. He was slinging it at Ole Miss, right? Interesting stat. Central Florida, they were plus 54 in turnover ratio in the previous 5 years. Last year, they were -5. And UCF, a big game next week against Boise State. Could they look past this Kent team that, has these issues that I mentioned? Remember, Kent, they've been bowling. They never go bowling. And they've been bowling in 2 of the last 4 years. They've got a new head coach this year. Some big, big points here with Kent. Nobody wants Kent. I know that. Let me go over the chat and see what you guys have to say. Probably be going against you guys here. I know nobody's going to want Kent. I'm probably going to be on them with 5 touchdowns here. I mean, if you're Kent, still, like I said, they've done some things. They got no experience, no starters returning. All right, here's Michael says, take Central Florida. Nathan, lay it in the first half. Brent Cook's got him as a lock. Plumlee, we've got everything going for him. Kent's got nothing going for him except for 35.5 points. And that's what I'm going to be. I'm going against you guys. Taking Kent here. What'll happen is I think Central Florida, the total's been dropping. Want to reiterate that statement that I made the other day. Now that we're on Thursday, maybe you missed that show. So we know that the clock rules now. Remember, in the old days, you get a first down. Say you're on first down, 12-yard gain, clock stops. Not anymore. We're running that clock the whole way except for the last 2 minutes of the game and the first half, when the clock will stop on a first down, but not in the regular game. So there have been, 7 games so far. It's trimmed 5 plays off the games, but just 3 minutes of time, of real time. I believe that will increase as the kinks are worked out of the season. Frankie's with me. Yep. I don't know, Daryl. Yeah, I mean, Daryl says they haven't been good. Look, they've played in bowl games in 2 of their last 4 years. They've only been to 4 bowl games in their whole existence. So it's been kind of a good, but all those guys are gone now. That's the problem. And they got, like I said, new coach. But again, where their coach went. He went to join Dion. He's the offensive coordinator at Colorado. Guy's okay. Guy's not bad. So I think what will happen, Central Florida will have, and believe me, the handicappers are going to be, Michael Roberts says, a blowout. So handicappers are going to be on Central Florida. Paid handicappers are going to be on Central Florida, no doubt. And you guys can go against me in this one. I'm just going to take those 5 touchdowns. I wish it was, well, what it was. Did it get up to 37? And did we see some buyback here on Kent? Did anybody see it go that high? Maybe a backdoor for me, Ken said. Okay, hopefully, yeah. That's what it would have to be, right? Especially if you're looking at a game in the 54 range and a 35-point spread. So what could it be? Could it be 42-14? That gets me home. That gets me home easy. Even 49-14 gets us home. So, all right. That's the first one. Carla Hunter, hello. Nice to have you. Pleasure to have you here. She'll take the over in this one. And you know what? That's how they'll get the back. Maybe it'll be 56-21. 35.5 points gets me home. We'll see. Be careful. Maybe there'll be some buyback on that 35.5. I want to make sure I've got 5 touchdowns and a hook. And if not, I'll probably buy it up to that because, I think it has a feeling that it'll maybe end up right about there. So France up by 8 here on Iran. Like I said, we got the under. It's going to be looks like about under 65 points here in the first half. So North Carolina State going to take on Connecticut in this one. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. NC State is a 14-point favorite, and this total 46. Maybe is a little bit juiced to the under. It's been going under in general. The totals have all been going under since the early releases of the lines. Could be because of that discussion. Maybe it's just a general trend that people think that there's going to be an impact. There may be. It's supposed to be baked in the line here. I don't think odds makers are going to overlook it. So I do have some questions about. They haven't all dropped across the board. There have been a few that have gone higher, but does feel like at least 3/4 of the games on the line moves, whether it be subtle or big, have moved lower, quite frankly. So let's get into this one here with NC State and Connecticut. You guys get your comments ready. NC State have been on a decent run here over the last couple of years. 25-12 record, but just a 500 team really against the spread. This is not a great role for the Wolfpack. Laying points on the road where they've gone just 2-6 as a road favorite. They aren't in this role very often, usually just about 2 times per season in games similar to this. So I think that might be a bit of a question. We know Connecticut has, had big time issues over the last 5 or 10 years, but things may be looking up with Jim Mora Jr. in his second year. They won 6 games last year. They have 17 starters back, and that's the key number, right? When we talk about starters returning, key number, if you can return 17, that's kind of a magical number in a way. Doesn't happen very often, but that's always a solid starting point, right? And usually home dogs with a lot of returners early in the season. This is always kind of a pretty good trend. They have 102 starts returning on the offensive line. Their quarterback played several games last year. They got a good grad transfer quarterback, came in from Maine. There's a lot of positives here. And Connecticut went bowling for the first time in 7 years last year. Don't forget. So cappers are going to be strong on Connecticut in this one. This total's dropped quite a bit, man. I'm really kind of bummed about it. These 2 teams did play last year, and North Carolina State won 41-10. They were favored by 38 points. So Connecticut got the money. Now, obviously, it's a big turnaround from a 38-point spread to a 14-point spread, but I think Connecticut is due for even more improvement. Remember, from 2016 to 2021, they were at 10-50 straight up. So they were bad. But again, you bring in a guy like Jim Mora Jr., love him or hate him, 6-7 last year, found a way to get him to a bowl somehow. And North Carolina State, they haven't won a bowl in forever. Well, not forever, but it's been 5 or 6 years, hasn't it? They haven't won a bowl. They've been to a bowl, but they haven't won a bowl. They've lost their 2 or 3 bowl appearances anyway. Next week for NC State, how about Notre Dame? Well, we're playing Connecticut this week. What's going on next week? I don't know. I didn't look at the schedule. Please. Connecticut's going to be really, really popular. I know you guys probably let's see what you guys have to say. I know I'm building the case for Connecticut. I'm only telling you what handicappers across the industry. I mean, it feels like it's all about Connecticut necessarily. Will the square look? This thing opened as high as 18. Now it's down to 14. The total opened as high as 53.5, and now it's down to 46. So I like the under. Telling you right now, probably like the under in this one. Frankie says take Connecticut. Daryl says take Connecticut. Let's see here. You guys are getting a little ahead of me. That's all right. Oh, thanks, Nathan, for the FCS play. FCS plays. I'm going to be active, and again, most of my FCS is going to be what we call late steam here on the site. If you're interested in these, my plays are probably going to be coming in 2 hours to 10 minutes before game time on FCS plays, because we know the lines don't come out on FCS games until kind of later in the betting cycle. There's not, and limits are lower, but you can still get a good bet off. I mean, you can get, hopefully you can. So I don't want to, if anybody has any trouble with limits and they do subscribe to anything, please let me know. But I think that the cost of the plays combined with the limits that you can get closer to game time should work out. And my plays are strong on those games. So I think we proved that last year. You can go back and look at the results from last year. Carla's on Connecticut. JD's on the under. I'm going on the under. Let's just make it official for my play right now. Appreciate all you guys on Connecticut. I'm making a big pitch here for Connecticut. I'm not going to give it out as the play. I'm actually going to give you the under. Michael says Connecticut needs lots of help. I don't think they have that option available. I think they're rolling with what they got. Like I said, 17 starters returning. There's not many teams that are going to have that necessarily this year. One team that did have that has already covered the spread. And that was San Diego State last week. Okay. And Daryl says he's really hot on this game. Yep. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you for your comments. Okay, I'll take the under. I think you know what I think you got the gist of everything I was saying. I don't know if I'm going to necessarily even put it in as a premium. I feel good about it. And maybe we missed out on some value. Still getting 2 touchdowns. Get it while it's hot. I don't know. Could it go under 2 touchdowns? It seems like sharp action is mixed. I think sharps are still willing to lay it on the road. But like I said, I feel like handicappers are on UConn. Here we go. All right. Well, Nebraska, we're underway in the Big Ten with Nebraska. Hey, they put 92,000 in Memorial Stadium last night for a volleyball match. Now Nebraska's going to go on the road to take on the Gophers. And here showing Minnesota a 7-point favorite. The total here is 43 in this one. And Nebraska so far, look, expectations are high again in Nebraska, or at least expectations are we're going to be better this year with Matt Rule in there. Look, Nebraska's got someone who's had some success, right? I mean, from Temple to Baylor, Matt Rule, his style. Maybe this is what fits. Maybe this is finally it for Nebraska. Nebraska's never coming back. They're never coming back to the glory days. We know that. But they're in the role that you want to kind of trust them in. I'll tell you that much right now. A road dog. Nebraska kind of they get the money as a road dog, man. For all their faults, they pretty good as a road underdog. They do return 15 starters. They do have a new quarterback, but comes in from Georgia Tech, where he started for a couple of seasons. So they've got that going for them. Over the last 5 years, Nebraska 14-5-1 against the spread as a road underdog. They haven't been bowling in quite a while, but maybe with Rule, they can get there. You know, for that poor record that the Huskers have had, basically, what are they winning at about less than 35%, basically, over the last 6 seasons. They've been better against the spread than their straight-up record. It hasn't been great. Minnesota, they've been having a pretty good run right here, right now. 18-8 over the last 2 seasons. Certainly with Coach Fleck, he's a pretty good favorite. This line has did open about 6 on the low point. They have 13 starters returning this season. Maybe a little bit of an experienced quarterback. This sophomore quarterback started a handful of games last year. Minnesota, real strong as a home favorite. Kind of contrasts what I'm saying about Nebraska. They're a good home favorite. They're even better at home or in conference games. They're just been real strong in conference games. Last 4 years, 21-12-1 ATS. So in this one, the steam came in on the under. Man, I'm probably going to be recommending another under here. 3 of the last 4 meetings between these two have stayed under. It opened 47. There's probably not much value to it. I don't know if I can give it out as a premium here. Minnesota's won 4 straight in the series, 3-1 against the spread against the Huskers. And this is a home team dominated series. Could Nebraska stay within a touchdown here? See what the chat has to say in this one. Michael says Nebraska. Carla is on Nebraska. JD is on Minnesota. Burley, hello, good morning. Nice to see you, Burley. And he says he loves Minnesota. Hey, these are some good games. I know Florida, Utah maybe is supposed to be the feature, but I like having a conference game here in the Big 12. Not Big 10, Big 10, Big 12, Big 14. What are we now? Big 16. What are they going to be next year? They can come some goofy logo with numbers and I don't know what if they move Stanford and Cal into the ACC. Are they called the Transatlantic Coast or what? What do these names even mean? Yeah. Okay. Jimmy on Nebraska. Daryl says expectations were high. Expectations are high every year. Expectations in Lincoln are always too high. I'm a Nebraska fan. I did not like Nebraska growing up, and I come to love Nebraska now because of their fan base. I love Nebraska. Not just, Mindy's a Omaha Maverick. It's not because of that. I have Nebraska gear. I used to run a 6 sports bar, you guys, with like 140 TVs, and like I'd have a different section, like schools would come in from, and I'd host like 5 or 6 schools in like 3-hour segments or 4-hour segments every Saturday in different rooms. So love that. Fan. Nebraska would pack them more than anybody, and this is when they were, they'd show up when they were playing teams and win games 60-0 against small schools, non-conference, non-division one. Those games, they still pack the place, and they'd celebrate with that song. All right, I'm giving out taking the under at 43. Reported steam came in on the under. And I'm going to take the under as my play on the show. Jamar, hello. One more game today here. I think we can get out of here before 8 with these other games. There's about 8 or 9 of them that go off at noon on Saturday. So let's start to get into it right after this one with Florida and Utah. We know the storylines here. I mean, Cam Rising. I mean, can we stop talking? I don't talk about players that nothing wrong with an injured player. I mean, but they're not going to, if they're not going to play, they're not going to play. So I thought, actually, because this game had gone all the way to down, and I thought I actually saw a little bit of buyback. Disclaimer, I did take Florida in the offseason at plus 10.5. So didn't give it out, didn't sell, and I'm trying to tell you whatever, but my position might be a bit settled here in this one. I may end up having to turn to the total because I feel like I'm already invested in this game. So no chance. I guess no chance. Rising plays, right? Have we heard anything? That's been the discussion the whole time. So Whittingham. You can trust him as a home favorite, though. I would imagine Utah can, be just fine here in the spot to maybe get a victory. I don't know if they can get the money, but, Whittingham's been pretty solid. Utah's won 34 of their last 47 games and gone 27-20 against the spread. They returned 16 starters, so not the rule of 17, but still Utah – one of the best home favorites around, no doubt about it. Utah 21-9 against the spread as a home favorite over the last 5 seasons. So you combine that with Whittingham, as those are good stats certainly for Utah. Last year, Utah was at Florida for their game, and Utah lost as a road favorite 29-26. Florida rushed for 283 yards in that game, while Utah rushed for 230 yards. Could we see these teams kind of, being a little bit conservative, maybe keeping it on the ground a little bit? Look at this total is all the way down to 44. The summer line, I think, was, I want to say it was as high as 51.5 was mostly the regular opener, but I saw a number higher than that in the summer. I think I didn't have a shot at it. I don't know if it, this could be a rogue number. We're going to call it 51.5 as the official. I think everyone can agree that was the recent opener. Utah's still going to take action from handicappers, I believe, even without Rising, because I think that they, that they have, pretty solid offensive line returning. And for Florida, this is tough to swallow right now, having gone, back-to-back 6 and 7 seasons. That's been tough. They return 11 starters, 6 on offense, 5 on defense. They have a transfer quarterback, a veteran quarterback in from Wisconsin, 32 career starts. You don't get many chances with Florida as a road dog. They're 0-3. No, I'm sorry, 3-0 against the spread last year as a road dog, but they weren't good before that. In fact, the Gators 5-10-1 against the spread in non-conference games last 16 non-conference games. All right, this one's getting away from me too. Maybe it would have been a premium. I'm not saying I could get 51. I mean, we're coming on the show here. I didn't play it or anything. I'm going to take the under in this one. Even at 44, I'm going under, you guys. Here tonight. Let's see what the chat has to say in this one. And we've got Jamar is going to still come in on Utah. I think Carla wants the over. And Brent maybe on Utah. JD on Florida. Talking about Graham Mertz there, JD. Thank you. Burley says maybe take Florida plus those points. All right, Billy Mack is here today. Says take the over. Maybe, but I don't know. I think he's still only a junior, right? So yeah, Zane looks like rising. I mean, like I said, I thought I saw a move back to 5.5 yesterday that got me all up and I'm like, and then on Twitter and there was no news of it. So I don't know. Could they pull a fast one on us tonight? I don't know if there's going to be gamesmanship involved. So